Hi everyone, welcome to episode 124 of the Fleece and Harmony Knitting and Crochet podcast. If you're watching this on the day that it's being published, it's June 23rd, 2023. I can't believe that we're 3/4 of the way through June. So welcome. We've had quite a lot of new viewers lately, so I'm just going to do a little bit more of an introduction about how the podcast is laid out. So I do chapters, and if you want to skip to different parts of the podcast, you can find the chapters on the bottom of your screen or in the show notes as well, where I detail what we're going to talk about in each segment. Today's episode is really packed, so we have a lot of different segments going on. I'm going to start with a farm update, as I do normally. So we have the podcast is being recorded in our yarn shop that's located in our woolen mill that's on our sheep farm. So we have an exciting farm update because we sheared the sheep last Saturday. We also, I'm going to do a section where I talk about what I've been knitting and my finished object, which I'm wearing, which I'll talk to you about in a few minutes. We'll have a shop update where we talk about what the new things are that are coming into the shop. We're going to have a segment with Betsy, who works here in the shop in the mill, and Betsy is an avid knitter and crocheter, so she's got a few projects to show. We'll do an in the mill section. We're working on designing a new yarn here at Fleece and Harmony, so we're going to talk about the progress that we've made with that yarn project. And then we'll have a segment with Simone, who also works here. She works mostly in the spinning and the fiber prep. And Simone is an avid knitter and spinner, and I think she crochets a little bit, but she uses crochet in some of her knitting as well. And she does all kinds of other things that we won't talk about, like weaving and felting. And she's just has a lot of, she's a person with a lot of crafty talents, that's for sure. So we will do a segment with her. At the close to the end of the episode, we'll do an update on the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival, which is happening here in Charlottetown, October 5th to the 7th. And finally, as always, we will end the podcast with a harmony part where I put some music, relaxing music, usually behind some video that we've taken. Right now, I think it's going to be sheep that we're going to show, but that can sometimes change by the time I get to the editing phase, and sometimes I do something else. So we'll see what happens. So we'll just start off with the farm update. So it was pretty exciting here on Saturday because the sheep were being shorn, and we have 32 sheep, so we don't have a large flock. And Amber, our shearer, who's been shearing our flock of sheep since the very beginning, came on Saturday morning. Simone brought her 2 children, and they helped in the shearing as well. And so did Betsy. Betsy and her husband and one of her children came to help. I actually had to come and stay in the store and work in the store because we sheared on Saturday. Usually we would shear on a Sunday, but this year we sheared on Saturday because Amber, our shearer, is off to Scotland to compete in the Golden Clipper shearing contest that's in Scotland. I think it's outside of Edinburgh, if I'm not mistaken. So Amber shears all the time. That's her full-time job, but she was laughing, saying that she was going to get ready her show shearing skills when she was shearing our flock. So she did that. So I'm probably showing some pictures from shearing day. I do have a couple little snippets of video that I'll show, and I'll kind of cut in and out because I'm not sure where I'm going to put the video. So if I make a stop and then it seems odd, it's because there's a video coming. Also, I wanted to talk about Diva getting shorn. So we have a video that Simone took of shearing a sheep, a single sheep, in the normal way you would shear. So I think I'll show that here. So that's what you would see for a normal sheep that's being shorn. It takes about 2 minutes for Amber to shear a sheep on our farm, because she's paying particular attention to the amount of wool that she's shearing, because we want to use every centimeter or every millimeter of wool that we have. So she does it a little bit slower. It's not, she can go much faster, but we like her to go slow just to preserve the length of the staple of the wool. So then I also have a shot of Diva getting shorn, because Diva, of course, has arthritis in her hips. And when the sheep are quite comfortable when they're being shorn, but when you do use like a little bit of a twisting action to get them on their rump when you catch the sheep. And because Diva has problems with her hips, we didn't want to risk making her uncomfortable by doing that. So she was shorn standing up. And it's really not easy to do that and do a good job, but we have a little video of Diva getting her spa treatment stand on the hoof, as they say. So we'll take a look at that.
She's well fed.
So it was a great day. It was all over by lunchtime, and Ken always makes the shearing day pot of chili that everybody enjoys. And luckily, the sun came out for a little while in the afternoon, and everybody was able to enjoy their lunch outside on our back deck on the farm. So it was a really good day, and we've got beautiful wool, which the intention will be to send that up to McCausland's woolen mill to get made into blankets. So there's quite a long waiting time to have blankets. So I'm not sure when we'll get them back, but we will, as we usually do, have blankets made from our wool. The reason why we don't spin the wool here is that it tends to be pretty long. So if we were using wool, our flock's wool in the mill, we would probably have to shear twice a year. So the wool is quite long, and it's a border Leicester Corriedale cross mostly. And now that we have, we've kind of got a standard that we use for the yarns that we're making. The wool that we have from our own flock doesn't fit into that standard to make a consistent yarn if we were to use it in Selkirk worsted or Aran weight. So it's a bit of ironic that we use our wool in the blankets instead of in the yarn, but we don't have enough wool to make even a special yarn with it that we would carry all the time. So we just use it for the blankets, and it makes lovely blankets, as a lot of you know already. So that's what's happened on the farm, and I'm just going to stop here for a second and thank everybody that has been subscribing. We have a lot of new viewers. I don't know what YouTube started liking us for some reason, and we have been really gaining in a lot of new viewers. So thank you very much. For those that are fairly new, welcome. And for the people that have been following us for it's like been 3 or almost 4 years now. Thank you for sticking by us, and I'd invite you, if you haven't subscribed, to subscribe, because that helps our channel to even grow more. Also, I'd like to mention here that we do have a newsletter. I send a newsletter out every Friday afternoon at 2:30 Atlantic time. And on the newsletter, we often feature new things that we're doing first to the newsletter subscribers, and then we show it on the podcast. Some of these really small batch yarns that we do, like our Angora and our cashmere yarn and things like that, are often shown in the newsletter, and then we don't have any left by the time we get to the podcast. So there is a little bit of a benefit to be a newsletter subscriber, and you can subscribe on the homepage of our website, and subscribe to YouTube, and we'll just continue to grow. So that would be great. So I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing. So if you've been a long time viewer, like more than a year, you may have seen the beginning of this beautiful sweater that I'm wearing, and it's the Paisley Kofte or sweater by Sidsel Høivik, and I finished it. So this sweater has been a little bit of a tour de force, and just to give a quick overview of what happened, I started knitting this sweater, it might even be close to 2 years ago. And I did my swatch, and I did all the things that I was supposed to do. And then when I first started knitting it, you have this, I call it the waffle pattern, but this motif all the way like on the bottom. And I had a swatch for gauge that I did. And as I started knitting it, my gauge tightened up. So when the sweater was about to here, I realized that the sweater was not going to fit me because my gauge tightened up and it was going to be too small. So I actually had to unravel the whole sweater, the half that I had done, and start over from the very beginning, and really paid attention to my gauge as I worked up to make sure that I kept my gauge consistent. So I kind of knit it 1.5 times, and it has this beautiful, beautiful detailing on it. So the cuffs, the sleeves are meant to be like hang over your hands and have this, just has a rolled edge on the sleeve. And after you knit the sweater, you do the motifs in color work, traditional color work. Then you crochet around the paisleys. And I think if I put my hand up close enough, you'd be able to see the kind of brownish lavender is crocheted. You also do duplicate stitch inside these motifs, and then the final bit is that you sew on the beading and the sequins. So everything comes in the kit. You can only get the pattern in the kit, or if you buy Sidsel's book that she has, I think this may be a pattern that's in the book as well. And in the kit, she sends you everything that you need to make it. You get all the sequins, you get the yarn, of course, you even get the nice mother of pearl buttons that are on the cardigan. And I just love it, and it fits me perfectly. So at least my gauge stayed correct. It's very well made. You steek the front, and you do facings for I don't know if you can see that in the picture, but you do facings and everything. So it's very well finished, and it's been a long time coming. And like I said, I sewed the last sequence on last night at 10 o'clock. I'd already blocked the sweater before I started doing the sewing of the sequence and the crochet. And I'm just really happy to have it finished, and it's turned out just how I wanted it to turn out. So it's really great. But it means that I don't have anything on the needles, because I finished my Maya sweater 2 weeks ago. Then I finished this. I do still have my Wallflower crochet blanket that I'm making out of felted tweed, which I will start to work on again now. And you're going to see in the different sections with Betsy and Simone, there's going to be 2 projects that I'm going to start. I'm going to start a sweater that is knit in our own yarn with point prim sock with Kid Silkays, which I'm going to talk about with Simone. And in the Betsy section, I will show a little bit of introduce a little bit of color that I'm going to do a cotton tee. The cotton tee is actually out of a book that would just arrived in the store called Rowan Summer Treasures, and it is a beautiful, beautiful book. So I wouldn't normally do a full slideshow on some of these other books that Rowan publishes, but I decided that I'm going to do a slideshow on this book. What the concept of the book is, I think there's 16 patterns. If I'm wrong about, yes, there's 16 patterns. And they're all made in cotton yarns. So that uses cotton glacé. There's Summer Light 4-ply. I think there's a couple patterns with Rowan hand knit cotton as well. And there may be some with Summer Light DK too. So there's some new patterns in here, but there's also patterns that they've revived from older books that they've had or some of the magazines. There's a lot of patterns by Kim Hargraves in this book. And out of the 16 patterns, I would say that I would knit 12 for myself. They're really, really nice. So I'm going to show the slideshow. So we'll stop here and we'll take a look at the slideshow for Rowan Summer Treasures. The pattern that I'm going to knit is the Tune tee. So it's just a sleeveless t-shirt with stripes. Of course, I love it. And we had a lot of fun. We do a meeting in the mornings of when we are going, the morning of the podcast recording. And we talk about what we want to talk about in the podcast. And when I showed the girls the Summer Light 4-ply tee, which is the Tune, it's called Tune, the Tune t-shirt. We all got inspired about what colors to pick. So I am going to talk a little bit more about the colors that I've chosen with Betsy to introduce the tee. And Betsy will show the colors that she would knit it in if she was knitting it. And when we get to Simone's section, she's going to show the colors that she would knit it in as well. So if you want a really good book with really nice patterns for summer knitting, and the little cardigans are so cute, then I would suggest that you check out Rowan Summer Treasures. Also in the shop, we had a restock of the Fox Mountain Spindles products that we carry. So many of you have seen the Fox Mountain tabletop Swift that Scott makes. So we've restocked this Swift. And this Swift also comes with an attachment to make a yarn buddy out of. So it's just a beautiful working tabletop Swift. So we've got those back in inventory. We were out of them for a little while. And we were also out of the double yarn buddy. So Scott makes yarn buddies that are just single, like this, just one of these pieces by itself. And he does a double one if you do a lot of color work. And the Swift, as I said, you have an attachment to make one yarn buddy out of the base of the Swift as well when you buy the Swift. So you have the yarn buddy and the Swift for managing your yarn. Scott also makes a beautiful Nosta pins, which we carry, and we carry different spindles. We talk about the spindles in the section with Simone today because Simone is spun some yarn, but with a drop spindle. So she is. It's actually a Tibetan spindle that she spun the yarn with, which was also a Fox Mountain spindle. So she'll talk about that a little bit more. Scott has also introduced darning mushrooms. So we did get a few darning mushrooms back in stock. We were sold out, and he's in fact sold out. So I've gotten a couple that were the last that he has. So these are great for darning, and he creates a ridge around here so you can attach. I just use like a hair elastic around it when I'm using them. And like all of his products, they're made out of beautifully crafted wood that's he gets, which has been harvested sustainably, usually maple, but he does use other woods as well. And a product that I bought this time, which is new to the shop, is the felting tool. So the felting tool holds 4 felting needles. And the way that you use this is that you screw off the top part and you insert it comes with 5 needles. So you get an extra one if you break one, and you insert the top of the needle in here so that the sharp end sticks out. And then you screw this back together and the needles are locked in there. And you have this beautiful tool for doing needle felting 4 times faster than you would if you had to use your single needle by itself. So this is just lovely and new to the shop. So I hope you felters will appreciate that. And I think that that's about all that we have in the shop right now, but we have a very special thing coming very quickly. So this is going to be a pre-sale. And as you know, for the viewers that have been watching us for a long time, that we always get the Firefly Notes Advent calendar. So for those that don't know about Firefly Notes is a small company. Well, I guess she's probably not too small anymore because she's grown quite a lot, but she's based in BC, in British Columbia in Canada. And she does these beautiful, beautiful stitch markers and knitting accessories and these gorgeous enameled tins that we are carrying. And every year she does a stitch marker advent calendar. They're always beautiful and the motifs are always interesting and fun. But this year is actually special. So I'm going to show a picture of the advent calendar. So this beautiful royal blue with the gold, and the theme is fairies and celestial bodies. So it's going to have, I don't know what all the motifs are for the stitch markers, but there are 20 stitch markers and there are 5 progress keepers in the advent calendar. And what's special about this is that this year Sandy has designed all of the stitch markers herself. So everything that's in this advent calendar came out of the imagination of Sandy, who just does beautiful, beautiful work. She's also designed a tin. So there's a Notions tin that you can purchase as well that has the same motif as the advent calendar has. and those are available. So when after you've opened all your 25 pieces of your advent calendar, you have a tin. You can buy the tin to put them in and keep them. So they will be we'll be shipping them out. If for the pre-sale, you can place your order now, and we'll ship out the advent calendars probably the second week of July. If you want to order other things with your advent calendar, then you certainly are welcome to do that, but we'll ship everything together. So the wait is not going to be too long. It'll be 3 weeks probably max. But if you do place other things on your order, you'll get your advent calendar and the other things that you order all at the same time. And I hope you really enjoy. I'm really excited about this one. I just think it's just gorgeous. And I can hardly wait to see all of the little beautiful surprises that she has. And I should say as well, she makes stitch markers or carry stitch markers that are just metal. And then she also does enameled stitch markers. And in the advent calendar, all of the stitch markers that she designed are the enamel type. So you've got this beautiful enameling on the stitch markers. It's really, really a treasure, and I hope you really enjoy it. I'm really excited that we're going to be having it. So I think that that's all for me by myself. I will now we're going to go over and talk with Betsy and see what she's been up to in the last 2 weeks. Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Sun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Very excited about the sun.
Sun, but still sweater weather.
I didn't care.
No.
I decided I was going to go with a short sleeve anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a sleeveless t-shirt on underneath this in case I don't last but I'm actually quite comfortable.
Yeah, the windows are open. The breeze is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, but it's going to be hot on the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have to be prepared for that.
All right. We'll be good.
So you've been busy.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have another
Just
new
doing
hat.
stuff. I do. And I thought it was going to be the end of the series. And then on Sunday, I think it was, I came running into the shop and I bought more yarn. So we'll talk about that in a minute. First, we'll talk about the finished one.
So we're going to talk a lot about this hat.
Yes.
And I don't want to make it sound like we're just like always criticizing our own knitting and everything, but there was a lot to learn with this hat.
There is. And I'm a fairly new beginner. It may not seem like I'm not brand new, but I am fairly new. So almost every project I take on, I'm trying something new because I like to add to my repertoire of techniques. Yes. So that's also why we sort of discuss what I maybe could have done different, because it's probably the first of its kind that I've ever done.
Right. And you're working without a pattern.
I am.
Yes. You're creating.
I'm making it up as I go.
Right.
Yes.
So just to remind everybody, this is the hat that your husband picked all the motifs.
He did. And he even charted it out as well.
Okay.
So it took more than one try because I got into it and I'd get to a section and I'd be like, the numbers don't add up. For example, so I think I had 104 stitches around that he had to work with. And for some reason or other, we'd get off and he'd end up having a repeat that wasn't falling into that complete 104 stitches. So we'd have to adjust it a bit. So he still managed to keep all of the motifs in that he wanted. He just had to be willing to maybe chop them down a little bit, move them a little closer or spread them out a little further.
He wanted a lot of motifs.
He did.
I think he loves motifs.
He did. He was creating a picture, a scenic picture. So without further blither blather, so here's what we have. So it has a moose on both sides, which, yes, is a little tricky to see. And we'll talk about that why in a minute. It has a little, there's a snowflake as well going on in the middle here. Yeah. And I thought, I was going to say, I remember doing a tree at some point too. So down under the moose's face or whatever it's called, muzzle, I guess, there is a little pine tree going on down there as well. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the first sort of obvious thing is that, true to me, the contrast is perhaps not super great. And that falls on me because I really wanted him to use this background color. Yeah. And where we sort of made a little bit of a mistake there is the background variegated yarn has a very small amount of pearl in it, which is the main color here. However,
so the background color is shipwreck.
Shipwreck, yes.
Yeah. And the motif is in pearl.
In pearl, exactly. Right. So that little bit of pearl in the shipwreck just made it a much more impressionistic sort of.
Yeah, kind of muddles
it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think the colors all work together. He's happy with it. So, I mean, that's what counts.
It's very soft and squishy.
Very, very soft.
And he actually made you do a motif in the rib.
He said to me, can you do color work in the ribbing? And I was like, well, technically I can't see why not.
Right.
So he worked that out as well. So he's got this little kind of ribbony chevron pattern going on, and it's built right into the ribbing.
Right.
So the only challenge there was I had to remember my ribbing patterning, my knit pearl, as well as changing the color as I went along. So it was 10 rows. It wasn't terrible, but I might have sputtered through it a little bit.
Yeah. You mean swore?
No.
Under your breath.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Or just had a few
it's very
I don't
complex.
know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks, it's very nice, but you can see the other thing is about the shipwreck, which you probably wouldn't know until you actually started doing the motif, is that the lines of color are long, pretty long. So you've got these stripes going on.
Which that part I actually kind of like.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the other major thing I learned was, so I was looking at it going, how do I make the background floats not peek through when you have a darker color in the back? This is just general for if you have a dark color in the back and you're putting a light colored motif with significant space coverage on it. How do you make it so that the back doesn't show through? So I came into Kim and I said, how do I make sure that there's no, it's not peeking through? And she knew right away.
So you have to use Intarsia. Yeah. And you can also use ladder back jacquard, you said. Is also, which is a technique that I would love to learn, I have to say. But the simple thing is to do Intarsia. And I was showing Betsy this example, which is my rain sweater. So this is from Arnie and Carlo's new Nordic unisex book. And in these, it's a very soft white, the snowflake alpaca classic is what it's knit in. And you have to do the motif in Eclipse, which is a dark navy blue. So if I had carried the floats on these big spaces of white here, you would have seen them. Yeah,
that dark color would have been peeking through.
Exactly, when you catch the floats. And some of these gaps were pretty big. So for sure you were going to have that. So I did Intarsia.
Which we won't actually explain how to do Intarsia. If you want to learn that technique, you'll have to look it up.
You can look back at the episodes that in this case, and this is also some of these, there's bobbins involved for depending on how long the gap is before you need the color again. And yarn, you have to twist it. It's not a really complex technique. It's just that you need to have different bobbins of yarn. And the trick to getting a well cohesive join when you use the yarns is that it's the way you twist the yarns when you start the new yarn. And the rule is old over new. And once you do Intarsia, you'll understand what that means. It may mean nothing if you haven't done it before.
I do actually have two questions that have popped into my head.
Okay.
Number one, do they tell you how long your bobbins need to be? Do they give you a yardage, or you just have to kind of guess on that?
And I had at one time I had 7.
Oh wow.
Bobbins.
Okay.
So you don't, but there's no problem. If you run out, you just spit splice it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still haven't got that one down yet. The whole spit splicing thing. And then I had another question, but it's just slipped my mind. What was it? No, I don't remember.
Well, you think about that.
Sure.
I'm going to show the back so that you can see where I made some judgment calls on here. So if I turn it inside out, where the gap was quite small, so I wouldn't have to catch the floats. I just was able to do it. So up to 5 stitches is kind of the longest I go without catching a float. So if the navy yarn is just resting behind the white without doing a float, you're okay. If you need to do a float,
catch it.
That's when you get the pop of color in between. So you'll see some places where I just carried the yarn as a float, and then down here I didn't.
Right.
So
yeah, I understand. Yeah, because that's exactly, it's where I caught it to hold it down, so I wouldn't have this big gaping string. Right. It's that point where you catch it. That's what pops through the front.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially with a light yarn and a dark yarn, like a high contrast. Yeah.
And I remembered my other question. Can you do, or do you do, for any reason, Intarsia in the round? Or does it only, because you have to come back to your bobbin, right? So can you do Intarsia in the round? Because it wouldn't be in the right place when you came back round.
I think yes, okay. But there's something about it I don't, because in flat, you have to come back. You have to have a bobbin because you can't go back and forth because you've dropped your yarn, and so I think it would be the same in the round. I
totally popped this question on her right now, so the fact that she doesn't have an answer is because I didn't give her any warning.
I've never done Intarsia in the round before, but I'm thinking if it was in the round, maybe you don't have to. But it depends on how your motif is set up.
Okay.
If it was in the round.
Okay. Well, that's something to look into.
Yeah.
Intarsia in the round.
Because you do it flat for sure because you're turning the work and going back, so you can't. But in the round, if it was a motif that was just like stacked on top of it, you wouldn't have to. You could just carry your yarn. Yeah, you would just carry your yarn up.
Your bobbin would just. Okay,
yeah. So I would think that there are situations where you would do it in Intarsia, but in the flat for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all in all, we're calling the hat a great success. He loves the beanie style, so even though I love the slouchy, he went with the beanie.
Right.
A little bit of a rolled rim, not too long, and it fits him perfectly.
Yes.
And he's very excited to wear it on our trip that we're taking this summer.
So Betsy and Matt are going to Norway
for our 20th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
So we're very excited.
So and that means
we've been warned it will be cool.
Oh, okay.
So, or probably
in July.
Yeah, we're going to be up in the mountains,
north, right?
So yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that meant that you needed a hat.
I did, and I didn't want. Somehow my slouchy with a big pom-pom in a worsted weight seemed a bit much. If I have to wear that in July, I don't know.
Even if it is Norway.
Even if it is the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
So anyway, I quick ran in and I started another one.
You're right.
And this one will match my jacket that I'm taking with me.
Right.
Where the other one didn't match the jacket I was taking.
Oh, okay.
I know.
It's really important. And I see you have the lovely stitch marker that Susan brought you.
Yes.
So Susan, we're all loving our stitch markers.
If we can get that in there.
It's the first time that we saw Simone today since you visited Susan, and she has her bee stitch marker that she's going to use. We gave it to her this morning. Betsy has her fox, I don't have any knitting on any needle, so I haven't used my
coming up
yet. It's coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all I wanted to do to show you was, several of you commented that you really liked the rolled brim or rolled. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to call that part of a hat.
It's a brim
on a toque.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a brim to me sticks out. Whatever, the rolled part. So what I do, I'm just about to do it now. So I like to have the little bit of peekaboo. So the peekaboo is the first color that I cast on with, and I go. So now this very next round, I'm simply going to, on the knits, I'm going to knit through this cast on row here, right through to attach it. So then that will be stuck together. And the purl, I will just do on the gray.
You'll skip the pink.
The pink for the purl. And so then you end up with a lovely finished, held down brim with just a little peekaboo of the first color coming out. Yeah.
Lovely.
I don't know yet what my motifs are going to be. I know I'm going to do color work, but this is just, I quick got this going on Sunday, and I will make it up as I go and figure it out when I reach that section. And it will be slouchy, because slouchy just looks best on me.
Yeah. Okay. And this is point prim sock yarn in Seagull and
Cherry Slush.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So great fun, because my jacket is gray with some pink trim.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you've made quite a lot of progress on that.
Well, I'm excited. And I've got limited time. And I have to say again, I love working with our sock yarn. I need to knit a sweater out of our sock yarn. It's soft. It's got lots of bounce and stretch, and it's really lovely yarn.
Yeah.
So
and you'll see in Simone's section I'm going to start a project in sock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited to check it out.
With kid case.
Oh.
Yes, because we saw that.
With Bloom.
Yeah, with Bloom. Yeah.
I don't know how this podcast is being put together, but you'll know about Bloom.
Yes, yes, in the mill section.
It'll make sense at some point.
Right. And you have your crochet project.
My crochet. So again, I said I was going to do this slowly, and I meant it. So I haven't made a lot of progress in one sense, but it is kind of slow going in another. So this is the giraffe bag by Outstanding Crochet, and it's overlay mosaic crochet is the technique I learned quite quickly on another project, and here is where I feel like I'm putting it into practice. So it is hard to, it's just starting to fold up. So this black part you're looking at here is the bottom of the bag.
And I've showed a picture, so people will get it.
And this is going to fold up. The corners are kind of there. And so we'll start heading up. So it's got a front and a back. And it's starting to develop. So you're getting these little spots, like the giraffe spots that are coming along. It's fun. I like it. But it's pay attention crochet.
Oh, yeah.
So because I'm counting all the time, because everything is counted, because it's so many double crochet, then it's so many single crochet.
Okay.
Because those single crochet come into play for the next round, you then work your double crochet below them.
Oh, okay.
So it is pretty intense. So I actually find it takes me an hour or more to just do 2 rounds.
Okay.
Now,
I bet you that drives you crazy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I might speed up as I get better at reading the work.
Right.
Because I really like to learn how to read my knitting, and my crochet, but I often find with a new pattern and a new technique, it takes me a while to figure that out.
I can tell you that I would be completely lost. I'd have to count every single round.
And I don't want to get off in the count. So I'm recounting things. So it is slow going, but I'm loving the feel.
It feels really nice.
Yeah.
And it crochet, for all you crocheters out there, it does eat yarn though. Eh?
Oh my golly.
Yeah. It takes a lot of yarn.
I think that's just the nature of crochet. So I'm just accepting it, and that's what it is.
But I can tell you that it feels really nice.
It's really squishy.
Oh, so I see. So
how it's happening?
Yes. Okay, we need to show the back.
Sure.
So there's the front of this. So you cannot see any of the pink or Mayflower. It's Mayflower
purple.
But this is what it looks like on the back. It's all hiding back there.
Yeah.
So that's when the last time you said you do 2 rows, but you really only have a row and a half.
That shows.
That shows. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then when you want the other color to show, then you're only doing a single stitch, and then so it would have been a single in the green here, and then the purple came the next round and dropped down
over
to hide the green.
Yeah. So if you see here on the back, you can see.
So hence the overlay crochet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is going to be really nice to see this develop.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be slow, so just hang in there with me.
Yeah. But, and this is knit in
Selkirk
worsted, and it's Mayflower and spruce. It's really pretty.
I really like those combinations.
Yeah, it's really
almost
nice.
Like kind of peacock colors.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Reminding me of.
Yeah, great.
So as it goes further, hopefully you'll be able to see it a little better.
Yes, great. Okay.
Yeah. So that's all my stuff on the go at the moment. Yeah.
So I'll talk about my floral striped bouquet or floral bouquet striped shawl here. I talked about it last time because I had actually finished it, but it was still drying on the rack, and I took a picture and showed it. Later, I edit the picture in, but I want to show the real thing. Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
Yes, so it's lovely, and I think it looks better, like you get the more impressionistic view of it if you look at it from a distance. So the little roses, it's just beautiful. And we were talking the last time that I wasn't really loving the edge that I had. It was just a plain edge on the top, and so I crocheted a crab stitch edge. I actually put the right side, public side of the crab stitch on the wrong side of the shawl. So I've got a reverse crab stitch.
But I don't think it matters.
No, it's
really
uniform anyway. It really, I don't, one versus the other. This one has one, you won't be able to see it, but it has one line that comes up, and on the proper public side, it has 2 lines that go up, so it's not.
It's all good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So
did you hold that double when you did it?
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually, I used a reject
right.
ball of sock yarn,
yarn,
which was too thin when we spun it. So it's not even the Selkirk worsted. So this is made from T Rose assigned pooling yarn, which we are now making. So you can purchase that. So just to be clear, these flowers, if you're looking at this for the first time, are not color work per se. You're using the yarn that has all of these colors in it, and when you come to a spot of color, you actually just bunch up. You use a cluster stitch and bunch it up, and then keep going till in the natural until you come to another segment of color.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. And then this is just plain slate.
Yes.
And then you have to have 1 ball of natural
to do the lace edging.
It's really nice.
I really like it. I almost want to oh no.
What?
I want to do it in a blanket.
Oh, well, you can do it around the edge of a blanket.
No, the whole thing.
This, it would make
the
it
assigned
beautiful.
pooling with the striping and make a blanket.
It would be beautiful.
Because the weight of this is just lovely on.
Yeah, so it's Selkirk worsted, so it has a nice squishy, comfortable feeling.
Yeah. That
really
would be so cozy. And then all 4 edges. Oh, yeah.
So I loved knitting this. It was really fun because you see it and it knits up really quickly because it's worsted, and you don't have to change colors except for the stripes, and there's no ends to weave in because you carry the yarn up the whole thing.
And then that you hid your carrying with your crab stitch.
The crab stitch.
Yeah.
So I really like it. I love it, in fact, but I don't wear shawls.
She does not, and she has said that several times. You took the time to knit a massive Andrea Mowry
Birds of a Feather
one, and every time you put it on, you're like, "It's as lovely," but I don't wear shawls.
Yes, I know. So, and part of it is because I always have problems styling them. Like that's it. So I wore a shawl in the last podcast, and I used the floral button. So I think I would do the same with this when I wear it. So the one thing that confuses me about a lot of these shawls is that, so one edge is a beautiful I-cord edge, which you knit right in. So that's really lovely. Then you have the lace on the other side. So in order to get the foot, which is the best part, like other than the assigned pooling, which is totally cool, the lace for me is what I really love and want to show. Okay. And I just don't want to show a peek of it. I want to show more of it. Mm-hmm. So it means that I actually have to wear this sort of like
her microphone.
Yeah. I actually have to wear it this way. And wrap this around with the long part down front.
Which is really not your style, is it?
No.
Yeah. See, like a lot of them will do that. I would say that if you are going to do that, though, the wingspan on this one is a tad short.
Yeah.
To get wrapped the number of times you would need. Yeah. I think this one really has to be worn the traditional way, where it's actually kind of over your back and just one swoop up the front.
Yes. Yeah. So, or you just make another ball, get another ball of the assigned pooling and make it bigger
and go for it.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, the only thing you need to be careful of is that the lace is applied. You don't bind off. You apply the lace as you go, and it's a 10 stitch repeat to do, or 10 row repeat to do the lace. So you would have to make sure that the number of stitches that you have at the end is divisible by 10.
By 10, which is not a hard thing to do.
Yeah. So this was 170 stitches to do this kind of a wingspan. So if you did 200 or something like that, I think that would fix that would fix it. Yeah.
And for those of you who may know better than me, I was surprised when I saw her doing it. I assumed the lace edging would go all the way across and all the way back, but it doesn't. No. It actually, she works it this way and was picking up this all along. So that to me was fascinating because I was like, what are you doing? And then I realized, that's how she does it.
And you know what? It's really smart. Those Shetland lace knitters are really smart, because when you're doing that, it looks a bit like if you had to do 170 all of the, and then go back and forth like that, it would be a bit crazy, like and discouraging.
Well, and each row would be different.
Yeah, exactly. So when you do it this way, then it's, you have like progress keepers, because all the points you're like, okay, and you do just say like, okay, I'm just going to do one more, and they go pretty quick. Yeah, there's 34 of them. Okay, but go very.
You're in worsted. If you were actually doing it in lace, you would have to do that many more.
Yeah,
but, well, maybe not, because it would just be airier.
Yeah, so for every
spaces would just be larger.
You're eating up 5 stitches for every repeat.
So I'm totally wrong. So it doesn't actually matter at all what weight you're using, because your stitch count is your stitch count.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a 10 row repeat for the lace. There's a rest row, so you're just purling or knitting, or I think you're knitting because it's garter as a base. And every time you come back to the shawl, like the row that you're coming back to the shawl, you pick up a stitch from the shawl and then go towards the edge. So
also, just thought of something fairly beginner friendly. Which, you beginners, you shouldn't be afraid of purl. I didn't know I was supposed to be afraid of purl till I already knew how to do it, and that was the best way to go.
Yeah.
However, there's no purling on this, is there?
No.
Or is there purling in your cluster stitching?
There's a wrong side but there's so many maneuvers back and forth in the cluster stitch. It doesn't really feel like you're not doing like yards and yards of purl. And the same, it's like a garter based lace as well.
So it's just knitting back and forth. So if you love the knit stitch and loathe the purl, there you go.
Yeah, it's good. I would say it's beginner friendly. The only thing, once you get, you have to do a swatch, not for the shawl itself, but to figure out how many twists you need to make in the cluster.
Right.
For the yarn that you're using, because you could use other yarns, that have a long, one color, quite a long stretch with a small amount of dyed part, and but you need to know, do I need to do 4 cluster stitches, or do I need to do 6 to use up the color in that cluster? So that's what you do the swatch for.
And if I remember correctly, because I think you were watching a video the first time you were trying to figure this out, the pattern comes with a video tutorial link on how to do this part.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So it's fun.
Oh, great.
Fun. It goes quick, beginner friendly, I would say, and garter.
And a beautiful end product.
Yes, it is gorgeous.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So that's that. And I'm just going to look at our notes. I think that's it
for us.
But we have a little section, because I am going to talk about the tune tea that I explained. We have a little meeting, or a little project meeting in the morning before we do the podcast. And the book is the Summer Treasures book from Rowan. It has a new book, and it's all cotton patterns for cotton yarns that Rowan carries. And my new project for Rowan is going to be the tune tee, and it's knit in Summer Light DK.
Let me guess, there's stripes.
Yes, there's stripes, and there's stripes.
I know.
So everybody picked out their 3 kind of combinations, because you could put any different kind of combination of colors together. So I haven't showed. I might have showed the color. No. I'm going to say that. So I record the shop update in my segment after I do the segments with Betsy and Simone. So this will be probably the first time that I'm talking about the tune.
Perfect.
Okay. So I've picked my colors that I want to do.
That you're actually going to do.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been really wanting to do navy and pink as a stripe. So I am going to do these 2 colors.
It's gorgeous. And this is Summer Light? What is this?
Summer Light 4-ply.
4-ply. Okay.
So it's a fingering weight cotton yarn. The Summer Light yarns are just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think the colors, I'll put the names down below because I don't have them all memorized, but I think it's Blossom and Navy Ink, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a navy and a pink, and the proper names are below on the title. They'll be below, even if I am right. But we challenged each other to pick out 2 other colors.
So my sort of like first one to go to, I'm not actually going to knit this, but if I would, this would be my first go-to, which might be a bit reminiscent of the hat I just finished recently. So I would classify this in the coral lupin family. Right. Do you know its name? It's down below. Have a look. Combined with, this was kind of, it's sort of a gray, but maybe, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but in person, I'd almost call it more of a khaki gray. Yeah. So there is a slight greenish tinge. Blush to it. Yeah. So that would be my go-to that I would put together.
Okay. So then we challenged that we would do your, whatever it is that your heart's desire is. Yep. And then there's one selection that is a real surprise pop.
Yes.
So
maybe mine's not all that surprising, but I would go very sort of classic red with white. Or I would do almost like anything that's a really pure, bold color with white. I just love white.
Yeah.
Offset with
that's nice.
Other things.
That's really nice. I went kind of crazy and did a green with a pink, which is kind of like, I've talked about this in other podcasts because this fuchsia and green kind of, I really like that combination. So this is not quite as pure fuchsia as some, and this is not as drabby green as some. It might actually go with that khaki. No, it's too gray.
It's too gray.
Yeah. So this would be a really interesting combination.
Like just seeing you holding that with your hair and your lipstick and your skin tone, that would be really nice, Kim. Yeah. But I'm also really partial to pink.
Yeah. So that would be my poppy color.
Okay.
Pop. My color with pop. Okay, and then we said something that's a little bit lower contrast. Yeah. So what a surprise this one is going to be.
So I just went with, essentially it's a gray with a grayish, or maybe linen. Would that be more like a linen color?
It's like pearl.
Pearl.
Have you heard Simone, or not Simone, Betsy
knitting
pearl? Yeah.
I do love pearl. This would be, this would be I would call that for me like a classic.
So not low contrast, but monochromatic.
That's the one I'm looking for. Yeah. Monochromatic. Yes.
You like that look.
I do.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. I think it's because it's easy and it feels safe.
Yes.
I love my big colors, but there are days where I just want to blend in and not stand out. Not very often, but it happens.
Right.
And so I like those.
Yes. And I've talked about a project in the shop update that Rowan is doing a knit along called the Festive in July project. Okay. And that's actually similar colors. You can make a blanket, a colorwork blanket.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching that segment.
Yes. Okay, and then the other color, when this color came in, I think it's called, what is the tea? Rooibos? Is that how you say it?
That's how I say it.
Okay. Rooibos. I think this is the color, but the right color is it. And this brown. So normally not what I thought Simone might pick this color, but she didn't.
Okay.
But this is kind of, I find this really nice.
It's warm. It's autumnal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fires and books and cozy. So maybe
tea,
not for
with chai tea.
Yeah.
Okay. So this not usually what I wear.
Or wait, because it's a summer tea. So let me reframe that. It's cabin with lakeside deck or dock with a nice green canoe beside you. Yeah, that's what that one is.
That's big. And so I don't know if I could wear it though. Not with the fuchsia lipstick, obviously.
I hate telling people they can't wear something, but if you're looking for your optimal pop, probably not yours. No. But that's okay. I'm in love with this sort of gingery cinnamon family of colors, and I also can't really wear it. Yeah. So you have to find other places in your life that you can incorporate it.
Right.
I don't know, buy a car that color.
No. I don't like it. I don't like it for a car.
She doesn't like it that much.
I like it. No, I love it, but I might knit it anyway.
Why not?
If this goes fast, this tea goes fast, I can see more than one in my future.
There we go.
Yeah. So
nice.
Anyway, so those are all the different color selections that we have. So I think that's it.
unless you're inspired to do one, then
let us know what your color is.
Yeah, tell us down below what you would do.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Exactly.
Okay.
Go to the website, check out the Summer Light DK or Summer Light 4-ply colors are all there, and tell us what you do. Yeah, maybe we'll have a little like a little survey.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll inspire us to do something different.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun.
That's really fun. Okay, so we'll see ya.
Take care.
Bye. Okay, so lots of knitting and lots of things to learn from your projects. So I think that that's really great. And I'm really, really interested to see that overlay crochet bag, the giraffe bag, develop, because it seems like it's going to be really, really beautiful. And just the quality of the fabric that it's making is really, really, really nice. So that's a really cool project. So we're going to now look at the segment for in the mill. So we get a little bit technical about the yarn production. We get into talking a lot about twist per inch, about the way that the yarn is made. So if you're somebody that's interested in that, we're really telling you exactly like all of the things that we go through with choosing the dye colors and the way that we developed the yarn. And we are now up to the point where we're starting to make we're finished the tests, so to speak, and we're starting to make batches of yarn, but we're going to take you through all of the process to get us where we are as of this week with the new yarn line that we'll be making here. Okay, in the mill. So we're working on our project.
Yes, we are.
Yes. So we have a tentative name for the new yarn, but we're not about to reveal it yet because we want to make sure that everybody can pronounce it first. So what was the first step? We started processing the fiber.
Yes.
And but we only went to what we call the picking stage, and then we started the dyeing process.
Yeah.
Because this will be the only yarn that we make that will actually be dyed in the wool and then spun after.
And that was new for me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that was new for Betsy. And it took 2 tries.
Did it?
Yeah.
Now I'm forgetting.
Yeah. So we did.
Oh, 2 tries to get an actual. Right. That's right.
Yeah, we weren't sure how. So you're getting all the inside scoop about all we're in the weeds about what goes into actually designing a new yarn.
Yeah.
Which is maybe different than what people would think.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a gray yarn should be pretty easy, but you have to have the right gray.
We needed it to be dark enough that it showed up with like dark colors, but or how did that go? Yeah, but light enough that it showed up with dark colors, but we wanted it so that it wouldn't overkill a light color.
That's right.
So it's finding that perfect balance of dark to light.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we 2 tries is not bad.
No, it's not bad.
So yeah, so we're just doing a basic gray, and all of the yarn that we make will in this brand of yarn will have plies with gray in them. So that gives that's going to give the heathery effect to all of the yarns. So once we had the gray settled, then you decided that you wanted to try one of the mid-range colors.
Yeah. Right? So I've chosen 16 colors that we already have that exist.
Right.
And then we're blending these with the gray, which essentially is creating new colors. But as far as the dyeing goes, it's still working from our already established dye recipes.
Right.
But it's interesting to see because we've managed to get 2 colors actually spun at this point, and it really does change them. Yeah, yes, I've been surprised at how much it changes.
Yeah.
So the first one we just went really simple. We just did the really light gray, or our gray that we ended up with just the natural,
right?
Which essentially created this beautiful light gray, which we're not actually showing yet because we're going to reveal the whole thing once we've established the line. So
we'll
hang on.
We'll show you the pictures that you're going to see are
bits and pieces.
Yeah, we're teasing them.
Yes.
So then, after we had the dyes done, then Simone takes over, and we card the gray, and we card the color, whatever the color is going to be. Yeah. So Betsy had suggested that we start with a mid-range color as well, so that we can see when it twists with the gray how what the impact is going to be. Yeah. So we let Simone do the math on how we would do, like organize the cans, like where we make the roving and everything. And then we promptly messed it up 3 or 4 times. So it's good work, Simone, for doing all that work that we didn't pay any attention to.
We might have a few folks around here who like to work on trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did write cheat sheets for the draw frame, so it's all good now.
Yeah,
perfect.
So what happens is that we're combining rovings at every step of doing it's the kind of the first, like a pre-draft is what I would call it.
Right.
And it's amazing how your muscle memory takes over, because we're so used to doing it one way that it was really hard. Like there was a lot of swearing, because after the cans were done, we're like, you went back to the way that we usually do it.
Yeah.
Well, there's very limited like computer parts on our machinery. However, there is where you type in the amount of yards you're going for. And those are the numbers that get really stuck in our heads when we're used to doing, oh yes, it's this many yards for this many yards. Anyway, so those are the numbers that get stuck.
Yeah. And the order that you have to do on the draw frame. So Simone had it all figured out. But it's even we had to do that a couple times, because it's really, it's
outside the norm of our
it's kind
processing.
of like your brain starts to smoke at one point, because you're like, what happens if you do this? What happens if you... And anybody else that might be watching that does milling or whatever is thinking, okay, these are a bunch of knobs, but it's really it's the way that you're combining them to get exactly what we wanted. And what we wanted at the end was a yarn that in the roving had a stripe of the color and a stripe of the gray in as few steps as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're trying to do efficiencies as well.
Yeah.
So Simone did all that work on that. And then after we finally got it in our heads and we were all helping to do the draw frame, then we had to go to the spinner.
Yes.
So the decisions we made there are...
We decided with 3-ply.
Yeah, we decided it's going to be 3-ply. Yeah. We had to do a test. We knew that we started with the 3-ply because we knew we probably didn't want a 2-ply.
Right.
So we had to decide the twist per inch that we want to start on the ply, and the how long we want, if we wanted to let the yarn set overnight and then ply it, or if we wanted to ply it what I called fresh.
Okay,
right.
Question from one who doesn't spin.
Right.
What do we care about twists per inch? What does that actually create within the yarn?
Right.
That gives you your structure. So if you don't have a lot of twists per inch, you generally have a softer yarn, but it's not a really stable yarn.
Okay.
So you need enough twist to hold the yarn together, but not make it ropey. So you're walking a fine line there.
Right. Yeah.
And
between
when you ply,
and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When you ply, you're taking some of that twist out and letting the yarn wrap around itself. And that creates either a round yarn, a kind of flat yarn, depending upon how many, singles you're adding in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also affects how a yarn will bloom, which was our main concern.
Right.
Because
and for like complete beginners to yarn, what are we talking about with blooming? What is blooming?
Blooming is basically the little bit of fuzz that you see on the yarn. So the really appealing part of yarn for most knitters is, how it looks and feels. And that's what bloom is all about. So when you think about Kid Silk Haze, that yarn's got some serious bloom.
Okay.
So we're using the same fiber that we use in our Wild Winds 2-ply, but the processing is completely different. And we were surprised when we started knitting up the samples of the Wild Winds 2-ply that it actually had quite a lot of bloom, way more than I expected. So we want to keep that bloom in this new yarn. So this is what Simone was explaining. Simone is explaining is that if we twist the yarn tight and then ply it tight, then it's not going to have as much bloom.
You've essentially trapped all that fuzz so tight in the twist.
That's right.
It has nowhere to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It can't bloom.
It can't bloom.
Yes. So, and then you get different twists per inch if you let the yarn stay on the bobbins overnight, or if you spin it fresh right off the spinner.
Or ply it fresh.
Sorry, ply.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
Ply the yarn as it comes right off of the spinner, you get, let's say, I don't know, the numbers are meaningless, but let's say you
get a higher percentage of twist.
Yeah, so you get a balanced yarn at 2.5. And then if you let it rest overnight, you get a balanced yarn at 2.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference about how the yarn looks.
Okay.
So Simone we spun fresh, and then plied. I keep saying spinning. I'm confusing. I can see Betsy going,
what? So we took 3 bobbins.
Yeah.
And we took them directly off the little spinner.
Yeah.
And we plied it immediately, and we let that sit.
So again, in layman's terms, you took 3 really skinny strings and turned them into one piece of yarn.
Right.
With
with
3
little baby strings in it. Okay.
Pretty tightly plied.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Because it was fresh.
Because it was fresh.
Yeah.
And then we did another test where we let it sit overnight and then plied it.
Right.
And then Simone and I looked at it the next day, and I said, which one do you like? She said, the overnight one. I agreed, because it was much softer.
And then Miss Efficiency over here is like, really? It has to sit overnight every time?
It does.
Yeah.
Come on, we gotta get it done.
Yeah, right.
No, we want the best result in the end.
Yeah.
So even if that takes a little extra time, that's what counts.
And there's pros and cons of both, because if you ply it fresh, it's hard to spin the whole batch because it's really fine. The plies are really fine.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get it. So it takes forever to spin because it's so fine that you're getting like huge yardage out of a little bit. So that takes a long time to spin. Being able to spin a batch and then ply that whole batch in one day is a little bit challenging.
Okay.
And if you ply part of the batch and then don't wait till the next day to apply the rest, then you have to adjust your twist.
I see that. So half of your batch would be different than the
unless
first
you
half.
made very small batches, which is also not efficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
So letting it go overnight it's
the ticket for us.
Yeah, it's the ticket for this one.
And that's the whole process. We learn as we do this, areas where we give and take. So some areas we might be able to bump up in the efficiency of the process, where somewhere else might end up taking a little longer. So all in all, yarn takes the time it takes to make.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Taking the time to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? So we've showed you some pictures while we've been talking about this. So we're not going to reveal the yarn yet. So we'll continue the dyeing. We showed a picture of the second color that we did.
Yes.
Which is a dark green.
Yes.
So that will show us what happens when we get as long as Simone keeps us on the right track to get the stripe of light gray. And then we'll just start, once we've done that, then I think we can just start doing the colors one by one.
And you'll have noticed that is not actually very evenly dyed.
Right.
But that's okay. Because that all comes out in the carder. So it's not a big deal. Don't panic for us.
Yeah.
And it's also part of the magic too.
Yes.
Because it adds kind of a tonality and a subtlety to the yarn that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yes. Yeah. So that's
Oh, I know one thing I could mention that I also learned in the pot. So as we all know, with our sweaters and stuff, if you've got hot water and agitation with wool, you end up with felted wool.
Right.
Well, when wool is not even spun yet and it's just loose fluff, let me tell you, it wants to felt.
Yeah.
So I did learn fairly quickly that moving it around, rustling it around in the dye vat too much is not a good idea, because our first batch of gray, it just came in under the wire of basically coming out of the vat in a big felted lump.
Yeah.
So I'm learning also to just back off, just ease off.
Yes.
So,
and I think that this, just the nature of this fiber, it would felt beautifully.
Yes.
If that's what you want to do with it, because it just has that feel.
Yeah.
So Okay, so that's what we've been working on
in the mill
for 2 weeks. In the mill. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye. So that was a little bit technical, but I hope you enjoyed seeing the process. And we did try to take more pictures of things so that you can see the different stages. And like I said earlier, the next stage now is just getting all of the colors sorted out and making sure that what we've imagined for the colors is going to actually happen when we go to make the yarn. So now we'll go and sit with Simone, and Simone's been really busy. She's finished a couple projects, and she is wearing something that was the inspiration for my next project that I'm going to knit in our own wool. So we'll jump over and talk to Simone and see what she's been up to. Hi, Simone.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good, good. Sunny.
Finally.
Yeah, but it's still sweater weather.
Yep.
Yeah, for now.
Well, that's okay because we like wearing our sweaters.
We love wearing our sweaters.
Big fans around here.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of sparkle.
Yes. Exactly. I came in this morning and said, did you guys have your sunglasses? Because I'm really sparkly.
I'm so excited to see it all finished, and it looks beautiful.
Not more than me.
How does it feel to be wearing it?
Well, I sewed the last little sequin on at 10 o'clock last night, and it felt great.
I bet.
And it fits. So that's even better.
Yep.
Because, you know, if you joined us recently, you may not know the whole story about Paisley, but I'm sure I've told it in the introduction already. So I won't, I won't do that. And so you'll have to go back. If you skipped over my chapter, you'll have to go back and listen to it if you want to know the long details of Paisley. But you have some finished objects. And we're going to talk about Simone's sweater at the end of this. Mm-hmm. Usually we introduce talking about the sweater.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about it at the end because we're going to talk about a project.
Yep.
Right. So you've got 2 finished objects.
I do.
She's a keener.
Which one would you like to see first?
Let's show the pressed flowers.
All right.
Okay. I'll help you hold it up so it can be all in its glory. Oh, Simone.
I'm so excited about this. I really, really am happy with the finished shawl.
Right.
So a little refresher for our viewers or anybody that's new.
Yep.
This is the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christoffers or Savory Knitting. And it is knit in Rowan felted tweed and Rowan felted tweed color.
Right.
So all of these fun color graduations are actually just 2 balls of color that fade gently.
Color. Yeah. The same color.
Yeah.
So it makes it magical when you're knitting it.
It does.
Because you want to see what's coming up next.
Yes. It's very exciting. It's like one more row. Oh, color change. One more row.
Yeah. Just to see. All right, so you made some modifications on this.
I did. I decided that I wanted kind of a sturdier edge. So I went with an I-cord bind off. You can see right here.
Can we maybe put it up closer? The production manager will tell us if we can see it. Okay.
I really wanted a nice, smooth, clean edge and something with a little bit of weight to kind of help the shawl drape. So I went with I-cord bind off, and I used the pressed flower color.
Okay. So you had 2 balls of the felted tweed color, and you had enough to do the extra edge because it just had a plain edge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I know that I worked out the math, and it suggested 3. I got away with 2 balls of color, but it was cutting it really short.
Oh, okay.
And partly because I also added tassels.
Yeah, I know. That's my favorite thing. I have to do something with tassels because I just love them.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I need to steam these a little bit because I just put them on this morning.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was drying on the racks. It's hot. Well, right off the drying racks.
Yeah, exactly.
So then why did you, because by the yarn recommendations, you should have needed 3 balls?
Yeah, just into 3.
Just into 3. Okay.
Yeah, so
if you're making it with felted tweed, but you made the full size.
I did. I made the full size, and I just barely finished with 2. So if you're a loose knitter, you're definitely going to get into the 3rd ball, I would imagine.
Okay.
But
or you can make it bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although it's pretty it's a good size and it's drapey. So it's nice. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that it's blocked, I just love the fabric.
Yeah.
I liked it before, but I like it even more now.
Felted tweed it's a little bit of a magical yarn.
It really is.
Because it really doesn't feel like much when you see it at first.
Yeah.
When you touch it in the ball, I knew it was like one of the best selling yarns in the world, probably.
Yeah.
And when I received the first couple, I got so many colors when we first started carrying it. Then I got more until I had them all. But when I first got it, I was like, I don't know, like, what's so special about this? Like, but then I knit with it.
Yeah.
And it is really just has enough of that. It has alpaca, so wool and alpaca. Just has enough of that to make it nice and soft and drapey.
Yeah.
And it really does come into its own after you've washed and blocked it when you finished your project.
Yeah.
So,
And I do have to say too that it's still, even though it's a little bit drapey, it still holds its shape.
Yes.
So if you're going to use it for textured knitting, like I would classify this as a textured
This
knit.
is mosaic, by the way. We didn't mention that.
It still holds its shape, and the stitch definition is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so that's Pressed Flowers by Amy Christopher. I always want to call her Christoph, but it's Christopher. And in Rowan Felted Tweed and Rowan Felted Tweed color.
Yes.
And if you want to check out other Pressed Flowers projects, she actually does a cardigan, pullover, fingerless mittens. No, I keep saying it. It's a hat. I think there's a hat.
Yes, there is definitely a hat.
A hat, and there's 5 of them anyway. 5 different accessories and projects and the shawl. So that's 5. Yeah.
I think there might be more of pressed flowers in my future.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun project.
Yeah.
So, okay. Lovely. And this is a gift for somebody.
Yes.
Who's getting married.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a wedding shawl.
Nice.
So
lovely.
I'm happy to have it finished too.
Are you?
I am.
Yeah. When's the wedding?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's done.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I have it stashed away and it's ready for when they are.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. And now we'll talk about, you have another finished object.
Yes. Yes.
So you're kind of like a new hat every 2 weeks, Simone.
Yes.
What do you have for us today?
This is just the cute little hat that I was working on with my Mackin belts.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
I think so. We got a lovely letter from somebody from Shetland that was explaining to us about how to actually pronounce the Mackin belt. And so there's been a couple different explanations about how to pronounce it, but I think we're going to go with the one from the person from Shetland.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
But a rose by any other name, it doesn't matter as long as people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I should say as well, people have been writing me asking me where to get the belts and where to get the needles or the pins. Okay. So you bought your belt off of Etsy?
Yes. Okay. Bob and Weave was the name of the shop.
Okay.
And I got my belt from Etsy. The needles or pins I just got off Amazon, and they're not great quality, but they work.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I would be any good at knitting with a Mackin belt, so I went with the cheaper ones, and I'll probably get some better ones down the road.
So I think I'm going to try to source some of those long. So if you haven't seen, there's Simone did a little demonstration in the last episode 123, about how the belt and the knitting works. And you can look them up on YouTube. There's videos there. But I think I'll try to source, if I can find a good quality supplier for those 14-inch double pointed needles, I will try to find them.
Yeah.
Because we may as well carry them. We're talking about it all the time now.
Yeah.
So, okay. And it's fun.
It is fun.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just new to it and I'm catching on. I'm still slow for me, but it's getting easier.
Right.
So that's exciting.
And so you've designed another hat.
Yep.
Is this another motif from your scribbler?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is from one of Mary Jane Mucklestone's stitch dictionaries.
Okay.
And then I just kind of added little borders and of course a pom-pom, because I can't help myself with the pom-poms.
No, that's right. And so it's little, you probably can see it from a distance better than we can see it up close, but it is little girls, little boys and girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No idea so every second one has, 50-50. Every second one has a dress, and then the other one has a
little trousers.
So it's children.
Yes.
We don't know if they're boys or girls.
That's right.
That's right.
Just children.
Just children. Living their best selves.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know pine cone.
Of course.
Yes.
Pine cone and rose hips in Selkirk worsted.
Right.
I love these colors, and it was funny because I picked this out and was going to put amethyst brooch with the rose hips.
Oh,
and
that would have been nice too.
Betsy challenged me. She goes, do something without autumn birch.
Oh, okay.
My favorite color.
Yeah, okay.
So I ended up going with pine cone and rose hips. And she looked at it and she said, that looks a lot like domino.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right.
Yeah,
yeah, it's the same kind of color families. So.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Very nice. So no pattern yet for this one.
No.
But
maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What people want. If they want it, you'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also have another one percolating right now. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got it all roughed out chart wise and the math done. And
okay.
I just need to.
Do you have a theme?
I do.
Oh, okay.
It's a celestial theme.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that might be the theme of this podcast.
It might be.
Yeah. You'll find out later why. Or you've already know. I'm not sure how. Okay. So just because we're talking like this, so if you're new joining us, is that I record with Simone and I record with Betsy, and then I do my part after. So sometimes I change my mind what order I do things, just depends on what the flow is. Yeah. So that's why we talk like this. Kind of weird, but it's okay. All right. And you have Rioux.
I do.
Yes. So Rioux by Jennifer Beal.
Yes.
Is the lovely shawl that Simone is working on.
Try not to lose needles. There we go.
Do you need help holding it?
No.
Okay.
I didn't do a ton this week.
Okay.
Because I put my focus into the pressed flowers. I wanted to finish that.
Right.
But I did get started on the wings.
Okay. So now people can probably see even better how this goes.
So this is one of the wings, and then this will probably be the other wing. And those are the wings are what wrap around your shoulders.
Yeah,
so,
I've showed a picture.
Yeah.
Or will show one.
This goes along your back and kind of snuggles you up, and then the wings wrap around and keep you cozy.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing about this is it's a Jennifer Beal pattern. So that means there's nothing typical about the construction unless you're used to knitting Jennifer Beal patterns. And then what's typical is that you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Some kind of new technique every time.
Yes, a fun adventure every
so
time.
You have color work in the round.
Yes.
So no color work on purling.
Right.
These bands are double-sided, but it's like a pocket in the center. So they were knit around like this. Just to, I don't think we're not really. I
don't think we're giving any away
because
secrets.
I challenge anybody to try to figure that out on their own. But Jennifer talks about the fact that there's no purling and color work, and then you do the lace as a center in the round.
Yes.
And then you do the bands. You work your way out from the center.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So you start right here and then work your way out, and then the wings.
And there's a ingenious little trick about the ends. Again, if you want to see all the ends, you can look back on previous episodes, because all of these colors, what is there, 12 colors in the color work bands?
I know there's
14 in the
colors
kit,
like contrast colors total. I'm not sure how many are in each color work band.
Yeah.
There's at least 7.
Okay.
So, and there's lots of color changes. So there's a lot of ends.
Yeah, there's a lot of ends.
Yeah.
And I think I still have the picture, so I'll just put maybe the picture of you holding up with all the ends. And there's a video tutorial on a way to get all those ends in there pretty quickly. They're all kind of sandwiched in between here. Yeah. And I actually used that trick to do the ends that I had on this. And you're right, because when I sewed the facing in my Paisley, there was some ends on the under the band, and I used that technique. And you're right, it's really satisfying. Yeah, it is, because you're just pushing them in there, and Seems like I wasn't sure
Give
how
it
it was
going
to
cut it off, and then stretch it, and you're like, oh, it's staying
you
put.
Disappeared it. Yeah. Okay, so great. So if you want to knit this this project, we have made kits for the colorwork band. Well, we've made kits for the yarn. It's made out of point prim sock yarn.
Yes.
The original design was designed in a yarn that was from an advent calendar. So it was a special selection of yarns. So we dyed some yarns to be able to make it just with the right amounts to make the shawl.
Yeah.
So point prim sock, and the kit is the Rioux kit if you are interested in that.
I love the feel of it.
It's nice and soft.
Squish.
Yeah.
It's going to be very nice when it's finished.
Yes, it is going to be lovely. Okay, and what else do we have? So you've been spinning as well.
I have.
So this is not something that's for sale. You're
just playing. Yeah.
You're just playing.
Just playing.
Okay. So tell me, because Simone is actually an excellent spinner as well. So just you had this beautiful bat.
Yes. So a bat is just, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a big chunk of fiber. Sometimes it comes in comb top, which is the strips or the roving, but a bat is a wide strip that I made on my drum carder, and I just used little bits and pieces of things that were in my stash, and my handy dandy little support spindle from Fox Mountain. We're big fans of Fox Mountain spindles here.
I've done the shop update already, so we've had a restock.
Yeah.
And I actually tried to order the support spindles, and there's a beautiful little lap bowl that you put it in. But he was sold out. So I will be getting them in.
Yeah.
But I don't have them yet. So,
so look forward to these.
Yeah.
But yes, I've been spinning on a support spindle. I'm fairly new to this as well. I started out on a drop spindle, and I've just kind of gone all over the place with the spinning world.
Yeah.
But one of the advantages to one of these types of spindles is you can spin a really fine yarn.
Right.
Because you're not worrying about supporting the spindle with the yarn you're spinning.
Right. Okay.
So one of my goals in my spinning eventually is to create a wedding ring shawl. So you spin yarn that's really, really fine.
Cobweb.
Exactly.
The weight. Yeah.
And it should be fine enough so that whenever you knit your shawl or your stole, you can pull it through a wedding band. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But
find
I'm
somebody with
it.
big hands. And so you've spun this, and it's a 2-ply, I think, if I looked at it? Or
no, it's just a single.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've spun a single. The bat was 30 grams, and I ended up getting 373 yards to 30 grams.
So what is the weight you think you're going to need to get down to?
I was looking at a couple of different charts online, and they suggested that anything under 1,200 meters, or was it 1,200 yards per 100 grams is a cobweb weight.
Okay, 1,200 meters for 100 grams.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Don't quote me on it. I'm just pulling that out of my brain, but I'm fairly certain it must have been meters, because I got really excited because I hit it with the yards, and I thought, no, it's meters.
Oh, okay. So you had a little bit more. So not that much
finer.
No, just a little bit finer.
So this will work out. Yeah, it's pretty fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've taken a picture with. I took a picture with a Canadian dime so that you can see.
Oh, okay. So you're going to send it to me, and I'll put it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's the knitting that should be fun.
Yes.
You have to keep trying new things, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So maybe we'll just talk just a few seconds about the different types of spindles, because you kind of brought it up. So there's all kinds of different of, what would you call them, hand spindles, or
just
anything other than a spinning wheel. So there's the Jilgin, which is an old-fashioned Scottish spindle.
Right.
I'll put a picture up. Scott from Fox Mountain makes those, and we carry them. And you've spun with that. Yeah. So you create your ball on the spindle as you go, right?
Yeah.
A center pull ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's the thing about that. Odd looking thing, but it works.
It does. And I really like mine for plying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's
because
a good suggestion.
It's really easy, and it's probably one of my favorite spindles for plying.
Okay. Yeah. And then we have the traditional top whirl spindles, which we carry as well. Fox Mountain makes them in different types of wood, and they're all beautiful. And then there's the Tibetan drops or supported spindle, which is what you have.
This one.
So instead of as opposed to the round part being on the top, which is the top whirl with a little hook, which you've just already seen a picture, the weight is at the bottom.
Right.
And the ball forms here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's no hook or anything like that for the top. So you just let it slip over the top as you spin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was watching you do it, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. And then there's the other one that has the X on the bottom. He makes those as well. What is that one?
Turkish.
The Turkish. Okay.
Yeah. And those are kind of fun because they also, they create something that looks kind of like a little turtle.
Yeah.
But you can slide it off the shaft and then pull the pieces out, and you have a center pull ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can work from the inside or the outside, or you can ply it that way too.
Okay.
Depending upon how smooth your fiber is.
Okay. Yeah. So at the PEI Fiber Festival, Simone is teaching a class on drop spindling.
Yes.
There's 2 spaces left. I don't know if you knew that. It's almost sold out. So if you want to learn to spin with Simone, you can check out the Fiber Festival website. And the little trick with what you're doing is that you have to make your own drop spindle.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to actually make your spindle and then spin some yarn.
Yep.
Okay, so check out the Fiber Festival website. There's 2 spaces left for Simone's drop spindling class. Now, we're going to talk about your sweater.
Yes.
And you're going to pronounce it.
Oh boy.
It's a Kate Davies design.
Yes. It's either Treit,
whatever.
Treit?
Treit.
Yes.
I think so. Yes. Yep. So Simone showed up with this morning, and not every day, she doesn't wear a different sweater every day, but every now and then she pops in another new one that's just part of your sweater stash, because you actually have a stash.
I do.
Stash of
I have
sweaters.
A trunk that I'm working on filling with hand-knit sweaters.
Right.
That's my goal.
Oh, good. Okay. And it's a lace top down, lace yoke.
Yes.
A little bit of raglan-y stuff happening under the arm, and then you knit down. So when Kate Davies designed this pattern, it was cropped with short sleeves.
Right.
Then she re-released the pattern in the Inkling book, which has a long sleeve version, and of course you can make it as long as you want. In fact, she just says in the thing, knit down to 11 inches or as long as you want.
Yep.
So that's it. So it is one of those, it's not I call them skimpy yarn sweaters, because like Love Notes and Ranunculus, where you can get away with a little bit of yarn for a beautiful pullover.
Right.
It's somewhere in between that. It's not quite it's not the one ball wonder that Ranunculus is, but because it's knit on a big needle size.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty reasonable amount. So we did look at the specs of the pattern, and it was ranged from, the first size was a 30 meters. So was that a 28 bust? 32. Starts the dimension or the schematics for the pattern or the sizing is from a 32 bust to a 68-inch bust.
Right.
And from the 32-inch bust, short sleeve crop at 600 yards, the 60-inch size, was it meters? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Meters.
That's
good. No, good that they occur. And it goes up to 1,600 meters to get a sweater with a 60-inch bust with long sleeves.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a pretty reasonable amount of yarn for those different kinds of sizes.
Yeah.
And yours is knit in the Belfast Mini Mill Island blend, right?
Yes, the Island Collection fingering, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to knit this as my next project because for the first time in 7 years, I don't have anything on the needles.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
I cleared the decks. So now I'm going to start 2 projects. One of them is this. I'm going to knit this. And we talked about this in the last episode, and we're still talking about the fabric that you get with point prim sock yarn and kid silk is held together. So I am going to knit it with point prim sock yarn, which is a fingering, and kid silk which is a lace weight. So I'll be in the DK range. So I will have to do a little bit of math probably because this yarn or the original yarn is a finer yarn, but there's enough range of sizes. I will get my gauge on the needles that I like for the type of fabric I want. I'll look to see what pattern size has the right number of stitches, and I'll just knit that pattern size.
I have to say, this is where you really thrive too. You love to
that's what
play
I like
with
to
this
do.
math.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So somebody apologized for having me do that math for them yesterday in the store. I said, "Are you kidding? I live for this." So I mean, I do it a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. She said she was going to knit a swatch, so I hope she does because
knit your swatches.
Yeah, knit your swatches. Anyway, so that's what project I will be working on with the Fleece and Harmony yarn.
What colors are you going to use?
I don't know yet. And my mother has put in an order for the Maya sweater, which I knit out of Kristen Drysdale's book. And I will knit one of those as well, but I'm not going to show it here because it's just the same. She just wants a different color. She wants it like the sweater, same length and everything as my other ones. There's no need to show it, but I'll be doing that in the background, and I will find out how to pronounce this because I'll be saying it probably quite a lot.
Somebody from our wonderful viewership will let us know how to pronounce that properly.
Yes. So that will be, and we'll find out the colors the next time because I'll cast it on pretty quickly, I think, because I'm anxious to get going.
Yes.
And we had a little podcast meeting this morning, and I asked for help because I wanted to pick a project for knitting with Fleece and Harmony yarn, but we got a new book from Rowan called Summer Treasures, which you've already seen because I talked about it in the shop update that we've already showed. And we were really inspired of all the different kinds of colors. So Betsy, Simone, and I all picked our favorite colors. So you already know what my favorite color was. I'm doing a soft pink with navy stripe. And the project I'm doing is the Tune t-shirt. I guess it's a t-shirt,
like
sleeveless top.
Yeah.
And Simone picked out, everybody was like, "Ooh, maybe we should make it. Maybe we should."
So really started the ball rolling.
Yes, we all got, so I don't know if anybody's going to knit along with me, but if you want to knit along with me, you can.
This is also a nice project because it doesn't require a huge amount of yardage.
No. So for most of the sizes, it's 2 balls of each color. And then the highest it goes is the very largest size is 4 balls of one color and 3 balls of the other. So it's
and I think that's a 60-inch bust as well.
Yeah. I think it's 60. I'll have talked about it already in the shop update, but it might be 62.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So what colors did you pick out?
I picked very typical colors to start.
Predictable. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so looks familiar.
Yes. Very
low contrast,
cover.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But autumn birchy and plovery, sort of.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw these two and it's like, well, these look really great together.
And this is Summer Light 4-ply cotton.
Yes.
Yeah. So these two, I'll put the names underneath because I can look at the numbers and tell you what the numbers are, but I won't be able to remember all of the names.
Yes.
I'm pretty good, but I won't be able to remember them all. So I'm showing this color right now, and there's a title right here saying what the color is. So that's the first choice.
My next one is a little bit higher contrast, but still in similar color families. So kind of light mauve and then an eggplant purple.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really nice. I might change my mind from what I just said I was going to do in the earlier. Okay, so these two colors. This is kind of reminiscent of the Maya a little bit.
It is.
It's darker and light, a little bit lighter, but okay. So those two colors.
And then for my color pop choice.
Okay. This is really nice.
A charcoal and a bright green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And it's not something I would normally pick for myself, but the more I look at it, the more I really love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really nice. Okay. So I'll hold it here so I know where to put the title. There's the names of those colors. And great. So I'm really excited about that project.
I might have to do it too.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly quick, I think. So, and it just really, it's really cute. And that book I was telling the girls, and Ken was there too. We always have a little meeting on Tuesdays before we went to get ready for the podcast. But what I was saying is that I think this book is one of the nicest books I've seen. There's like, there's 16 patterns, I think, in the book, or 12 or 16. And I would knit almost like 3/4 of them. Yeah. They're really nice. Yeah. There's a lot of Kim Hargrave's patterns in there, and she's just got such classy stuff. So.
And I can't stop thinking about that Martin story, the kind of halter toppy one.
Yeah, I've done a slideshow in the shop update, so you've seen that.
You need to take a peek at it again.
Yeah, it's really that halter top is something else.
Yeah,
yeah. All right, so I think that's it. Is there anything else?
I think that's
it. So see you, Simone.
Bye, Kim.
Bye. So now it's time for the Fibre Festival update. So the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival is taking place October 5th to the 7th here on Prince Edward Island in Charlottetown. And we have 57 different workshops. Some of them have started to sell out. We've already talked about the fact that Simone's doing a workshop, which is really exciting. And there's lots of different ones. There's spinning, and there's felting, and there's knitting, and there's crochet. We're really, really excited to be hosting Kristen Drysdale again from the Nordic Knitting Primer fame and Scandi Work. And Sue Matten is coming from the UK to talk about crochet, and she's actually doing a really interesting class about, she's holding that class twice because I think knitters and crocheters would really love it, and anybody that is choosing colors to put together for projects. So it is a class on color inspiration and putting together color stories. We have, I don't know, there's a lot of really, really superb instructors. So the classes are starting to sell out. So if you want to take a look at the Fibre Festival website, you can see the whole shebang of what's going on. There's a marketplace, of course, with about 40 different vendors there. And there is some entertainment in the evening on Friday night. So that is called the Harbor Hullabaloo, which will be storytelling and traditional PEI foods, celebration of culinary here. And there will also be a sit and sip knitting lounge in the hotel on Thursday and Friday night. So if you want to just gather around and knit with some friends, new friends or old friends, that there is going to be that opportunity as well at the Fibre Festival. So there's lots of hotels that are offering special rates for attendees of the Fibre Festival, and you can find links to those hotels on the Fibre Festival website. And everything, I think that the person on our committee that has designed the website and has populated like all of the areas of the website has done an excellent job. I think we've probably covered almost anything that you would need to know. There's, frequently asked questions, and there's all kinds of information on there about what's happening during the Fibre Festival. So you can check that out. There's a link in the show notes about where to find the festival website. But honestly, if you Google PEI Fibre Festival, it comes up right away. So I hope we're going to see lots of you in October at the Fibre Festival. So that brings us to the end of the podcast this time. And thank you for watching, and thank you for all of your support. And I hope that you have a lovely 2 weeks and that your crafting brings you joy in whatever it is that you're doing. And we're going to skip over to the harmony part, relax for a few minutes to some peaceful music, and watch what the sheep are up to. Have a great 2 weeks, everybody. Bye.
know it's kind of funny how a room full of things feels completely empty when you're not in the wings. How could I have known the fortune I would find, the peace deep in my bones, the beauty day and night. And you make anywhere feel like home. Home isn't where we live, it's living by your side. Oh, and I can't imagine any other way, the way our world needs your touch. You're touching every space, and how it makes any place feel like home. Ooh. I'm kinda lucky that when I hit a wall, I know I can climb up, 'cause you're the ground beneath it all. And you